Welcome to this very basic Unity tutorial where I'll show you how to add player footsteps so you can do any interval you want, and this works for both 2D and 3D games. So let's get started. So right here I have this simple game, just a top-down game where you can move around. And let's add footsteps to this, so stop the game. And first off we need an audio manager, so a way to actually play a sound effect. So what I'll do is right click over here, go to create and call it audio manager. And then I have a script called audio manager, which is this one. And let me show you what it does. So if I open this up, so it looks like this, and I'm using system.collections to actually use a coroutine. But what it basically does is that I have a static instance of this, so I can access the audio manager from anywhere. And I set it right here in the awake function. Then I have a public void, so this is where you call play SFX and you put in your audio clip, so this will be the footstep sound effect and the volume. And then I just start a coroutine where I create an audio source and actually play the sound, and then I destroy the audio source once it's done playing. But just copy this if you don't have your own audio manager. And let's get to the real part. So now I've added this over here, so we can now click on our player. And right now it has this player movement script. But what I'll do is go down to my assets and right click, go create and do a new mono behavior script. I'll just call this player footsteps. Now open that up. So in here what we'll do is very basic. We'll delete the update function and the comments. And then at the top I'll add a public audio clip called footstep SFX, so the footstep sound effect. And then I'll also add an enumerator, so this one, which will automatically add this library up here. And I'll call it play footsteps, where I'll then add a while loop, which will always be true, so it's always playing. Now what we have to do is get a reference to our player movement script. So my player movement script is called top down player movement, and I'll just call it movement. And it looks like this. And in here I have this input called movement. So movement X and Y, you can see right here where I'm moving. I have to make this public. So if you have something like this where you have an input, which will be a vector 2, you have to make it public so we can use it in here. So what we can now do is call this coroutine. So to start coroutine, play footsteps, like that. And then in here we can do if movement.movement, it's called, because my input right here is called movement. So movement.movement.magnitude is above 0.1. Well, then we can do audio manager.instance.play SFX footstep sound effect. And after that we can do yield return new wait for seconds, where we can input whatever we want, how long we want between each footstep. So I like something like 0.35, and you could do something less or more if you want more space between each footstep. Then in here we also need to set this. So do movement equals get component, top down player movement, whatever your script is called, and actually make sure that this is above this one, like that. And that's all in here. So now we can go back into Unity and drag the footsteps over here. Now I have this audio for a player footstep, and if you don't have one, you can download this from my GitHub. There will be a link for this in the description. Just click on code and then click download zip, then unzip the file and drag it into the assets right here. But yeah, just go to the player and drag this one over here. So whatever sound effect you have, and let's hit play. And yep, when I move, you can hear the footsteps, and if I don't move, there's no footsteps. Also, if you have a 3D game or like a 2D platformer where you can be in the air, make sure that in here you also do an and grounded. So you must have something like a grounded so you know if you're on the ground. But yeah, that's all for this simple tutorial. And just one thing, make sure to check out my school community, which is the first link in the description. In there you can be part of a community and you can go through my courses and ask me specific questions. So go check that out right now. And yeah, have an amazing day.